welterweight. The Nigerian nightmare himself, Kamaru Usman, is back. Just his mouth this time. Kamaru, why don't you scooch that thing up there so we can see your whole face? There you go. Maybe just like pan it up. Can you pan it up or no? No, other way.
Yeah, other way.
Boom. There you go.
These
That's
Android
perfect.
phones, no.
How are you?
Yeah, these Android phones are kind of hit and miss. So
It's all good. You look great. You doing well?
I'm doing better now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What what
it
what
was a rough couple of days there,
Yeah,
but
that's where I want to
better now.
start. What was last week like for you? Because it seemed like you had your hand in all kinds of different, feuds with different guys, and just trying to get someone to take, this fight against you, and then you finally got it. But like it was a whole week process there, and I know it's been months process to try to get someone to fight you. What was it like?
It was hectic because I'm 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 a very soft-spoken guy. I'm quiet for the most part. I don't like a lot of chaos and things like that. But it's just nowadays that seems to be what gets the job done. Is this chaos and all this talk and things like that. And so last week was I was just getting over the flu a
Oh,
week ago, and so everyone who knows me knows that I'm always training. I'm always in the gym. So one thing that me and my manager want to do is stay active, because as a fighter, the biggest thing that helps you get in that groove and helps you find yourself, your style, and the way you fight is by staying active. And so that's something that we wanted to do. After my fight in January, I took a couple of weeks off to really heal those injuries that really bothered me during that fight. And once I got those healed up, me and my manager got on the phone. We wanted to get a fight as soon as possible. And you could pretty much say we went down the roster of those top 10 guys. And this guy was turning the fight down. That guy turned it down. That guy turned it down. It was just frustrating, because at what point do you get the guys that say, hey, I'm in this sport to be the best, and I'm in here to fight everybody, and not just whoever I feel will be a best style matchup, easier style matchup for me to try to get to the top as fast as possible.
and so you have this situation where none of the top guys want to fight you. So you're ready to go. How did you ultimately get Santiago Ponzinibbio to fight you?
It was pretty like I said, pretty hectic, because we went down the list. Obviously, we called for number one, Wonder Boy, but Wonder Boy, he has a pass, because he had a good performance his last fight. He's been fighting, and he's fought the champion twice, close decisions, and he could say no. I understand why Wonder Boy could say no, and so. Okay, we'll give Wonder Boy pass. Then we go down to number two, RDA. I've called RDA out before, and he said no. We all remember that. Obviously, Kobe Covington, a fight that really makes a lot of sense, and a fight that I think a lot of people want to see. We thought we would get that fight, but he was absolutely non-responsive. Every time we asked, the UFC's like, well, we can't get him to call us back. We can't get him to even mention you. And you can see I would tweet at him. We can't even get him to respond. But I know he sees those tweets because he likes it. When a fan says, oh, Kobe would beat you or something like that, he'll like the tweet,
Mm.
but he would never respond. So I knew that one wasn't happening. We went down to number four, obviously Robbie Lawler, my teammate. So that one's out of the question. We go to number five. We asked, but we just got nowhere back. Nothing.
Who's number
And
five?
then we go down to
Who's number five?
Damian Maia.
Damian Maya, right.
Damian Maia. So that we just got nothing back. So at one point, I'm just like, yo, what is going on here? And so the Masvidal, we asked for Masvidal, and the UFC called us back and said that no. They said no. And so this is the thing, and let me clear that up really quick, because I know he tweeted something or something like that. First of all, my manager what other manager do you know in the business right now that goes out for their guys as much as my manager does? My manager, he gets a lot of criticism because he's willing to stand up and speak up for his guys, no matter what. And a lot of guys, I see a lot of hate online, a lot of people talking trash, trying to bring up this or bring up that. That's because he's an excellent manager. Now, how many other managers that's signing so many high-profile guys constantly like he is? Because he goes to bat for all his guys and he really puts it all out there. When he put out that tweet, it was because all those guys were turning the fight down. Now, I didn't go out and say, oh, man, every one of these guys were scared of me. That's why they're turning the fight down. There's certain things that you could have going on. Like some guys might be hurt, might be injured, and they're just not ready to take the fight. So they're saying, no, I can't take the fight. Or some guys might be doing movies, or some guys might be doing other things that, it's forcing them not to be able to take the fight. As in Masvidal's case, even Darren Till called him out to fight in Liverpool, and Masvidal said, no, I'll see you in July. So you couldn't take the fight. So y'all said no. No one said that you were scared. No one's saying this. All these fighters are getting in their feelings because we're putting them on blast because they said no to the fight. All I want to do is get a fight and stay active. So, guys can say whatever they want, but my manager does a damn good job. That's why he continues to sign high-profile guys and continue to be killing. He's killing the game. And he did everything in his power to help me get this fight because let's be honest. I asked for Darren Till. I've asked for Darren Till before, and we were told no because, let's be honest, from a marketing standpoint, for Dana White, he's trying to market this guy and get him to the top as fast as possible. Maybe not necessarily as fast as possible, but try to get him the favorable matchups to really help him showcase what he's good at and basically make him a star over there, essentially, like Conor McGregor. But I asked for that fight. I took a swing at it. Darren Till, he's a guy that's kind of a young, hot-headed guy, you would say. So I knew he would respond, and he did respond. He addressed it, but nothing happened with that one as well. And so Santiago was kind of like the fallback plan. I was like, you know what? I'll settle for fighting number 10. Yes, I'm 7 or 8, whatever I'm ranked, but I'll settle for number 10 because he's a tough stand-up striker. I mean, he's good enough takedown defense to keep the fight standing. So this could be a really good fight for the fans. I said, I'll take that fight. And then the UFC comes back and says, hey, he said no. I'm like,
what?
I'm like, oh my God, what? That was the fallback plan. He's number 10. How would you say no? And basically they said he said no. And that's when you started seeing all the reports of him potentially fighting Neil Magny. I'm pretty sure that was in the works. And so my manager, went to talk to the UFC again, like, what's going on? Like, how is this happening? How can we, it's where eventually the next day, just like that, okay, you know what? That's the fight to make. And hats off to Santiago. He didn't have to take it. He could have took a easier way, or not necessarily easier way, but a more favorable matchup for his skill set. But he chose to step up and take the fight. So, hats off to him. I think we're going to put on a hell of a show in Chile. And God willing, I'm going to be healthy in there and really get to display all my skills.
Why do you think the UFC has had so much trouble over the past couple of months getting these welterweights to fight? I mean, it's amazing. The top 10, no one has fought essentially for the entire year. And I know Woodley's, nursing the injury. So, it's obvious that he wasn't going to fight in the first half of the year. But like all these guys, it just seemed like for a while, everyone was squatting. No one wanted to take the risk. No one wanted to fight someone who was below them. Someone has to fight someone who's below them like you're doing here. Why do you think this particular division was giving the UFC so much trouble?
This is the biggest reason why is the fight game has changed in a sense to where it's not what it used to be. And okay. I don't know who you could kind of blame that on, but
please, I want to hear this. Tell us why. What happened?
There's a few guesses of people that you could kind of put that on, but the fight game has changed to where it's no longer, oh, we're the toughest is fighting the toughest to try to be the best on the planet. Now there's all these different components that go into it. Fighters no longer just managing themselves or them, they have a whole team behind them now. This fighter's got a manager, it's got an agent, it's got a Hollywood agent, or it's got this and that. And not on top of that, they've got their whole team of coaches and people like that. And also the company that we're under now, it's not just the old UFC as real as it gets hardcore. It's an entertainment company now. So everybody's trying to find a favorable matchup for themselves, and I want that big name, or I want this big fight, or I want this guy here, or I want this stand-up guy. I don't want to deal with a hard-nosed wrestler that I can't take down, I can't outstrike, or I can't do this. And so all these guys are trying to pick favorable matchups, like Kobe Covington. He doesn't want to fight a guy like me. He doesn't want to fight a guy that he can't take down, a guy that could potentially take him down, a guy that he can't outstrike, a guy that can outstrike him, a guy that hits much harder than him, and a guy that never gets tired. He's like, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to wait for the title. If I'm going to get beat up by anybody, I'd rather get beat up by Woodley and at least make much more money getting beat up for the title. And so he's squatting. And then you've got you got Wonder Boys like, oh, my thumbs are hurt, my fingers are hurt. So you know what? I'm going to wait for somebody to get up here and then I'll fight them because I'm sitting at number one. I understand that. Then you've got RDA, who's got 3 fights in the division and feels like he deserves a title shot. I mean, all these guys are kind of trying to pick and choose the favorable fights or the favorable matchups for themselves, and they're just sitting. And I'm sitting here like, yo, I'll fight number 1. Nope. Number 2. Nope. Number 3. Nope. Number 4. Nope. 5. Nope. 6. Nope. 7. Nope. You know what? Screw it. Give me number 10.
Wow.
And so that's kind of what it's been like. It's been hectic. I was just, for the moment that I was just like, you know what? Is it even worth it continue to do this? Because I got into this to fight and try to be the best at this craft, at this competition. But now it's entertainment. Everybody just wants to be in the entertainment business. Everybody just wants to be a star without taking those tough and hard fights.
You thought about walking away?
It's crossed my mind.
Wow. It just got so frustrating.
Yeah, because like I said, I've said in a few interviews before, I didn't get into this sport because this is all I have. I can't do anything else. I can do other things. I'm educated. I went to school. I went to college. I can go do something with that. I can go get a professional job. I want to do some stuff on TV. I can do that. I can host other events. I can do things like that. I have other means of things that I can get done. The reason I do this is because I thoroughly love the competition. I thoroughly love the ability to be able to learn how to strike. I'm fighting a striker, so I'm going to learn as much as I can to where I can go out there and compete with them and beat them at their own game and dominate an opponent from start to finish. That's what I'm in love for. That's what I'm addicted to right now. The story might be different when I'm 40 or 45. I could be more mellowed out and just want to watch my kids play or grandkids or whatnot. But right now, I have that burning desire to compete at the highest level, and I've been training to do that. So when these guys are not wanting to do that, they want to duck and dodge and just hide behind a favorable matchup for them, then it kills that for me to where it's a little depressing. So instead of continuing to go through that, I'm like, well, why don't I just move on and do something else?
Do you feel like in the UFC, it's almost a curse to be a dominant wrestler like you are? Because if you're the great striker like a Wonder Boy or Till, they want to push you to the moon. But the wrestler is almost like packaged as the problem, the guy that we want to avoid. And we can't put this guy against the wrestler because he's going to, derail him. So does that almost work against you because you're such a great wrestler?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because
crazy.
I've been bred in as I'm such a hard-nosed wrestler, and I continue to try to hone my skills and keep as much of those skills as possible. So these other guys that are primarily strikers, that's fine. That's great. That looks cool. But if you can't stop a guy from physically grabbing you and dominating you from start to finish, you have no chance. It's the story of saying Mayweather comes in and fights McGregor. If you brought Mayweather into the octagon today and said you can't kick McGregor, all you can do is just box Mayweather with, or just stand up with Mayweather with these 4-ounce gloves, you think Conor is still going to beat Mayweather? That chances gets a lot. They get a lot closer, don't they?
Mm.
Just like that, but with the components that Conor could take him down, beat on him, kick him in the face, things like that. Like it makes it not even fair. And so, yeah, me being as hardcore of a wrestler as I am, and that's never going to change. That I'm a wrestler. Don't get it wrong. I can stand up and strike. You've seen it. Just because of my last fight, because I had to do what I had to do to win, because I was dealing with some pretty serious injuries. People are forgetting that the fight before, I let a jiu-jitsu expert up. I knocked him down, and I let him get back up just so I could knock him out eventually. The fight before that, I fought Sean Strickland, a very, very tough and talented striker. I think his record is like 19 or 20 and 1 or 2. And I kept him standing and beat him up, shut him down the whole time. The fight before that, I fought a very dangerous Warley Alves, kept the fight standing the whole time and beat him up. Just because of that one performance, people are kind of trying to downplay everything that I've accomplished, that I can't strike. I can strike with the best of them.
So you find out this news that Colby Covington is going to get this interim title shot. And from what I understand right now, this isn't signed, sealed, and delivered. But I'm just wondering, when you heard that news, what was your reaction after all this that you've been through?
You see me straight sipping some tea right now. That's exactly. I was like, okay, first of all, why is there an interim title when the champion is actively trying to return back to the octagon in a few months? Yeah. That doesn't make a lot of sense. That's kind of a slap in the face. But at the same time, I mean, let's be honest, this is just a glorified number one contender, really. That's all it is. And it sucks the fact that they get a lot more money for the fight.
Yeah.
But it's just glorified number one contender. Neither guy, to be honest with you, do I believe is the number one contender. RDA can make more of a case because beating Robbie Lawler, that's no easy task. So I hats off to him. But obviously it was a Robbie Lawler that tore his knee up in the second round and still fought out 5 rounds. And so, yeah, I would say he deserves it a lot more. But having Covington fight him, I just sipped tea when I heard. I was like, you know what? Let me sip this tea and sit back and mind my business, because this don't make no sense.
When you agreed to this fight, when they got Santiago to agree to fight you, were you told, okay, beat Santiago, then we're giving you this? And because you're on the cusp of stardom, of contendership, of title shots, of a run as a champ. You're on the cusp of all this. It feels like we could touch it. It's right there. Were you given a path, or you beat Santiago and you're going to have to go through this all over again?
Listen, I'm the guy I've never been given a path. None of that. Even when the UFC was under the old, right when I first got it, was under the old management, I'm the guy that used to be told, hey, you're going to take this fight. That's how I was told, you're going to take this fight. And I'm like, all right, sure. I'll go beat him up. And I'll go in and take the fight and go out there and do what I do. I've never been given a path. As you've seen, and they tell you, when you're done with that fight, you've finished, you've won the fight. They put a mic in front of your face, call out who you want, because most of the time you're going to get that fight. I haven't got one of those fights. I beat up Warley Alves in Brazil. I call out Damian Maia while he's literally 50 feet away from me, sitting in the crowd. Doesn't happen. A year later, they end up giving that fight to Covington. I called out Neil Magny. Doesn't happen. They end up giving him to Carlos Condit. I called out RDA. Doesn't happen. They end up giving him to, I think, Neil Magny at the time, or maybe, Neil, or maybe Robbie.
Robbie, yeah.
And so, yeah, it just, I called out Covington, and look what happened. Didn't even respond, and now they give him the RDA. I've never been given a path. I'm that guy who's just going to have to earn it the hard way. That's kind of been the story of my life. So I'm used to it. I'm just going to continue to plug away. Like I said, I got into this to be the best. I don't care who I have to fight. It doesn't matter. I will beat them all and prove that I am the best.
Last thing for you, Kamaru, and this is great stuff. I really appreciate the time. Every time I mention you, tweet about you, I get the 30% thing on Twitter. Do you want to clear? Do you want to clear that up? And I got to be honest. When I heard you say that, I didn't take it the way the rest of the world seemed to take it. But I just wanted to know if A, you regret saying it, and B, do you want to clear that up? What you meant to say?
No, I don't regret saying it, because I spoke from my heart. I mean, when you get done with the fight, especially in that fight, because there was a lot, as you know, there was a lot frustrating things happening that led up to that fight.
Yeah.
A fight that, I mean, a guy comes into the UFC, he's riding on a 1-0 decision, and you're giving him to a top 15 guy like myself, because nobody else above me wants to fight me. So that or itself already irked me, irritated me. And then I couldn't get anybody else. And then he had visa issues. The fight was off, canceled. Then the fight was rescheduled. I got sick through the process. On top of it, I get these really serious injuries that hindered me from performing the way that I want to perform. So where everyone's thinking, oh, that guy's so tough, you couldn't stand with the guy. If you go back and watch the fight, just keeping the fight standing, I hit him whenever I wanted to hit him. You know, I had some injuries that didn't allow me to feel comfortable in that position, which is why the fight ended up going to the ground, and I had to, resort to beating him up on the ground. But with that being said, after the fight, yeah, you get really emotional. And that fight was really emotional for me after the fight, because I kind of felt like I was being set up to fail in a sense. But I went through the fight anyways, which I could have pulled out because I was injured. I went through the fight anyways and still dominated a really tough guy. And I literally was, I felt that I was maybe 30% of my abilities, which is what I stated. But of course, when you have a president that is so powerful like Dana White, and he goes out in media and says what he says, everyone just jumps on it. I swear, if Dana says that, you know what, the earthquake is going to happen tomorrow, everyone's going to jump on it. Oh, an earthquake is going to happen tomorrow. That's just the way that these UFC fans are. So once Dana said that, it was just the backlash of it and whatnot. But what I meant to say was I was at 30% health, and, Dana took it the wrong way, so fans took it the wrong way. But I am what I am. I don't regret anything. If it wasn't for, there's a blessing in everything that happens to us. And, yes, of course, it's getting kind of old. Yeah. Because every time you look at any one of my pictures, comments, or anything like that, all fans seem to want to talk about it. It's 30%, 30%, 30%. So after that, Dana said, well, you go 60% next time. So, well, you can expect me to try to go way more than 30% this next fight. That's for sure.
Well, kudos on handling the aftermath well, and all the frustration that you dealt with leading up to this. I'm happy you finally got a fight, so we don't have to see you being frustrated out in the open, and I'm looking forward to it. It's a phenomenal fight at 170. It goes down May 19th in Santiago, Chile. It's Kamaru Usman versus Santiago Ponzinibbio, a very important fight in the welterweight division. Thanks for doing this, my man. I am looking forward to it, and I'm so happy that you finally got a fight, and I'm sure a lot of your fans are as well. So much appreciated, and best of luck in training.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Ariel.
All right, there he is, the boogeyman of the 170-pound division. No one wants to fight this man. Santiago Ponzinibbio has said yes. He is going to fight him on May 19th.